In today's video, we're going to be using our grappling dummy, specifically our Grappling Smarty 2.0 here, to hopefully help improve our mount position. In this video, we're going to try to use it as like a follow along type series where there's going to be timers, there's going to be clocks, and some instruction of what you could actually do to really get kind of a workout in with this dummy. So we'll start off with a little bit of a warm up, then we'll move into each of the independent moves. And then by the end, we will be looking at how we can build everything up into a flow chain. So one of the first things we need to understand is how to warm up and the two specific movements that we're going to be using a lot during this drill. The first movement is often referred to as a modifying position, or modifying your mount, or a technical mount is sometimes what people call it. And really what that looks like is where I have one knee down and 1 foot up. So I'm sitting into this position. Now, obviously, when we're sitting in the mount position, that's not how we're sitting. We would want to be traveling ourselves up north. So if you've never done this drill before, you'll see the application as we go on, but just kind of tend to focus on the warm-up aspect currently. So you should actually be moving forward. So I'm not just putting my hands on the ground and just moving my legs like this. I'm actually trying to move my hips. So my weight goes here and I'm sliding my knees up, right? I'm sliding into the correct position where I pull and we slide up. Now, typically people have more of a comfortable side than the other. So you could just do that a few times to kind of get warmed up for this first opening warm up. The second warm up, as you're doing that, if you wanted to pause and complete the other one, but whenever you're ready, now we could do what we call the arm lock walks, or that's kind of what I call them. That's how I learned them. And the idea of this is to try to get used to our kind of hip joint sliding around. So the easiest way to start with this is if I'm on both knees, I'm gonna take my right foot and I step up. Now I'm gonna shift all my weight to my left leg and I'm gonna think about drawing a circle with my toe. So if you guys kind of see, I'm drawing a circle, I curl my leg under and I can place my knee on the mat. So it's kind of this like walking motion that tends to happen here. A lot of times different students are gonna have different hip mobility issues. You know, life kind of presents us with those opportunities, but this is kind of a good way to start working on this, this position. Some people, you know, you don't even need hands. You can just keep walking the whole time and falling forward. Between our two warm-ups, right, we have our technical mount slides or our modified mount slides, and then we have our arm lock walks. So this first movement is something that we call the S mount, or the technical mount, as some people will call it. And it's about just sliding our hips into the right spot and being able to clamp into the position. So what that looks like is I put my hands onto the ground, I shift my weight, and we jump our legs around. So now I'm able to be into the S mount position. Then from here, we could return out, and now we could jump up into the next spot, into this position. Whenever we're practicing this, we usually want to put our hands on the mat. It's very hard to do any kind of a S mount or facilitate my position if my hands are like this. Sometimes I could actually place my hands on them, depending on who they are, kind of where they're at, what I'm cupping on. So both options are okay whenever you do this. I really want to bring my knees all the way up to their shoulder line. So if you guys think about the shoulder line here, where their two shoulders would meet, there's an invisible string that attached. I'm trying to bring myself as much up to that shoulder line or past it, almost to where I'm in the head as possible. The most common mistake that I see students do with this is they're too low. And then when they're too low, this kind of fundamentally breaks down this whole position, or it takes the advantage part away right here. So we want to try to get our knee as up high as possible from here into this position. Man. Curling my leg around, right, into this spot. Before we move on to the kind of the first time drill, I want you to grab your dummy. I want you to find the pattern that you like there, just to be somewhat comfortable. Practice just that part a couple of times, maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. Then you can resume the video and then we could go on to the time portion. So go ahead, Pause it right now, practice a couple times, and then get ready. All right, now that we got the clock about to start, you can follow along with me in 3, 2, 1, go. So we're jumping up. We're making sure we're sliding back up to the S mount. If you want to alternate sides each time, that's no problem, but we're just trying to jump up each time. You could also put your hands on them and practice jumping up as well. If you can feel what you're doing during this is you're trying to actually make your legs very light into the position. That's what allows you to facilitate the position. My knees are actually very slightly coming off the ground. So when I go to jump, my knees actually coming up into the position each and every time when we're doing it. And I don't want you guys to really think about speed when we're doing this too. If you notice, I'm keeping a very normal and talking voice. I'm doing that on purpose, right? So that concludes our minute. Now we're moving on to part 2 of our sequence, the actual seated arm lock finish as part of our drill here. So you should be very comfortable now jumping up into this S mount, technical mount position. I know they are slightly different. Be careful in the comments there, I understand. But we're into our arm lock position on our training dummy here. Now what we want to look at is being able to go to the seated arm lock with control. So what that looks like is that I'm going to scoop the arm that's closest to me. I'm going to hug the leg. I lean and I throw my leg across the face. Now I'm into the seated position and we're into the arm lock. Okay, for this drill, it's really going to be a 2-part. Now what we do is we're going to let go. We're going to kick our feet south, and then I'm going to try to remount. Then we repeat, hands to the ground. Slide myself up, legs going to curl. North arm is scooping their arm. North meaning that their head. My south arm is scooping their leg. Now from here, I can lean. And I could step over the head and we slide right down like a pole. From here, you place both hands onto the ground and you're gonna kick your feet south. So basically the one that's closest to the head, the leg that's closest to the head is gonna kick and look both of my feet go south. So I'm almost the same direction as the dummy. Then my far leg is gonna high step completely over. Maybe my hands go on the dummy this time. We jump to the S mount. I'm gonna scoop the north arm in particular. My south arm is gonna scoop the leg. A little black belt detail if you're wanting your arm lock to be a little bit better. Okay, so when we go here, I'm not just trying to step my leg over as fast as possible. If you can already see, I'm a little bit off balance. I'm wanting just the fine amount or the littlest amount of space to go over the dummy's head. So if you see, I'm almost like brushing the dummy's head. I'm like trying to hit the dummy's hair. If he had hair right here, that's how close my leg is going around. So that way, look, I can back heel into the head. And that's what keeps my arm lock really, really tight. And that's what controls my descent from here. Then we can let go. It's okay. Even if you're using the dummy, right now my leg is trapping the arm. Sometimes that doesn't happen. The arm comes out. But we're just wanting to remount. We're wanting just to build kind of good habits. So if you need to, go ahead and practice just the arm lock with no time, no pressure, get the mechanics right, and then resume the video whenever you're ready to follow along for the 1 minute. Good luck, and we'll see you there. All right, you feel good with your dummy, you feel good about practicing the arm lock now. Now we wanna keep this going for a full minute. So in 3, 2, 1, go. Right, sliding up, going through the steps, and we're here. If you notice, it's not about speed, okay? We're looking for the quality of the reps every time into this position. Here, we could step over. Maybe do it on 2 times and then you switch, right? There is benefit to doing it on both sides, especially if you end up knowing the move and you can find that. Right, kicking south every time. So this time maybe I put my hands on the dummy, slide my leg over, and here, you know, even for me, one side, my hip's a little bit tighter than the other. So that's completely normal if you have a hip that's tight. Now let's look at our third move of the sequence here, where we talk about finishing the arm lock from the belly down position. So what we're gonna do is we put the hands on the ground, we still slide up, we get to the same spot. Remember, we captured with the north arm into this spot. Now, instead of reaching back and grabbing with the leg, we're gonna place the hand at a 45-degree angle, which I'll rotate here in a second, and I place my hand onto the mat. Now my shin is gonna drift across the face, and then from this position, we could hip through the elbow position. If you had to pretend this person's gonna pull their arm out, right? So if they pulled their arm out, now I'm almost behind the bad guy in this spot, right? So how do I actually progress into the next spot? Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna sink our hips to the ground and my elbow goes to the hip. Now from this spot, I scoop my hips into their armpit, and then now I'm gonna take their leg, I pull it down, and we high step back over. Now we're back into the arm lock again, right? So we're wanting to make sure we're still flowing into the mount position. So one more time so we can see this drill again. So if you wanna practice this as we go through it, feel free to, right? You can always pause it whenever you need to, but my hands go to the ground. We jump up to the S mount. I curl my leg through. We're gonna scoop the arm. My hand's actually placing at a 45 degree. Now from here, I don't throw my leg over. I'm not saying that this variation isn't effective. It's just not my personal favorite. My personal favorite is to actually drag the shin across the face. I think it's actually a little bit more effective. And tell you guys the truth, in self-defense, this is probably how I'd prefer to finish the arm lock in real life, because I'm not sitting on my butt. I can go here. It's very difficult for them to face plant me into this spot. They'd probably have their arm hyperextended. My hand is on the mat here. So it's a very good drill to practice, especially if you're training mainly for self-defense aspects. Now, let's pretend like, oh no, the arm came out. My leg stepped over. The key detail here is that my south arm, the one closest to the leg, my elbow is gonna go to the hip. And then as I sink my hips down, we're kind of into this reverse case katami or reverse scarf hold position, whatever you wanna call it. And then I start scooting my hips north. And then from this spot, I would take my hand, I'm gonna grab their knee and I pull their knees down. Now that allows me to step over, clear their legs, and now I'm back up into the mount here. We're scooping up into the position, right? My hand places at a 45 degree. I've already scooped the arm, and then I can place here. And now I can bring my shin over, and then I could always slide up to the wrist to finish, right? Never let this go. Always keep it in the crook of your arm here. Now we could hip through, we could finish. From this spot, let's say the arm slips out. I'll crack my foot's here. What I don't wanna do is try to turn and face all the way. Just throw your elbow over and almost baseball slide. Boom. Here, see, I'm into this spot. Even if they were running that way or trying to turn into me, I can at least chase their legs into this spot, right? The key detail from here is that I run my hips north, meaning that I keep shrimping my hips into their hips. So if you guys see here, I was down, there's a little, not much space. I scoot, so there's a lot more space between us. Now they're very much jammed up here. It's very difficult for them to get out. I pull their knee down and I'm gonna clear their leg, step over. So if you wanna practice this belly down version, the shin across the face version, a couple of times before our timer starts, go ahead, pause it right now, and then continue whenever you're ready. All right, hopefully you're feeling good with the movement. Remember, it's about quality, not quantity, right? You wanna go back through and watch. So let's get started right now, right? One. Going through here, scooping, placing it on my thigh, pausing at the arm lock position, then moving the leg out the way. Now I can baseball slide through, run my hips north. I bring their leg down and we're gonna high step. If I wanted to change sides, well then I would need to make sure that I'm in the right spot to be able to change sides. So from here, now we go through, I grab my thigh, my hand goes to the mat, my shin goes across their face, bop, we finish. Now the arm goes out, my elbow is gonna go to the hip, and we baseball slide through. Funny thing about changing sides is if you change sides, it feels like your legs and your arms kind of go backwards sometimes. So just be aware of the steps as you're going through. But you guys can see I'm not necessarily going as fast as possible right here, right? This time I'm gonna go all the way around. Boom, all the way up again, curl that leg and re-enter that arm lock. All right, so this last variation is going to be flowing from the S mount or the technical mount into the arm lock, and then we're going to move into the triangle, right? Specifically from that seated arm lock position. So what that looks like is my hands are gonna go to the ground. We jump up to the same position that we've been looking at all day. From here, I can scoop the arm, and I'm now throwing my leg over into the seated position. What we wanna do is I'm gonna shift my weight and feed my south foot in between the legs. Now from this spot, I take my north leg off, we grab the back of the head, and I'm going to lay down. As I lay down, my leg bites, my knee touches the head, and now we lock the triangle. I'll rotate here in a second, but yes, this is kind of a, what's called a catty corner triangle or a little offset triangle. It definitely still works. From here, we could also switch back into the arm lock if we need to, right? We move up to the arm lock. Everything is the same. 1, 2, throw around. We have the leg. So now the dummy has the hands together. Now I feed my south foot through. From this spot, look, my leg comes off and I'm grabbing the head. You would have to really do this in real life, by the way, too, because some people just keep their head down. And so whenever I lift up their head, I pull their chin to their chest, the weight of my leg and their arm, and I can kind of push off the mat here. It kind of lifts them just enough. That's all you need to lock. And you don't even have to have a tight triangle. You could just have it like this. And a lot of times it's still good enough. From here, if their hands separate, we would take the arm, we would catch it again and throw the leg back over. Now notice that my feet are crossing and my heels are going to the butt, which is actually even a tighter arm lock to finish with right there, right? So coming up into this spot, we're here, we're still catching the leg, right? And sometimes you might even want to do this move, but for some reason that's not working. Look, we can always pummel over and sit back down into the exact same arm lock position, right? A lot of times people, if they put their fingertips together or this person is grabbing the wrist, this is a good option. It's a little bit safer to feed your south foot, in my opinion, right? So now we go through here because I still have control of the head and the shoulders. When I lift the north leg, their head's a little free there for a second. So now my north leg comes off, right? I'm holding with the south arm, the one closest to their legs. Now my north hand, the one closest to the head, lifts the head. The chin pulls to the chest. We can fall back from here. And then now I could finish, right? Right now my legs don't even lock because the dummy's head's too big, but I could still finish right here if I needed to, or I could just throw this leg back over and finish into the arm lock, right? You could hold the leg to finish. I believe some people call this spider web position, or just this like little arm lock position with the leg control. We're just really working the arm lock to the triangle. They put the hands together, we feed through, lay down, and catty corner finish to arm lock finish. If you want to practice it a couple times before our minute level practice, go ahead and pause the video now and then get ready to move on. Okay, are you ready? So now we're going arm lock, seated arm lock specifically, into the triangle from the guard or arm lock finish. Ready, go. Wow. So I'm still sliding down. I can move their hands together to pretend. We switch to the grip, south foot goes over, fall back, triangle lock up, boom, finish with the arm lock. Sit up, Sal, coming up from the spot, right? Moving up into the arm lock position. Maybe I tried belly down, not working. So I throw the leg over, hands are working together, feed the south foot, leg off the head, pull the chin, bite, lock, or finish, right? Keep changing the angles here. All right, you got about 13, 14 seconds left. Wow, here. You can see I'm moving at a pretty decent pace, right? I'm getting about 3 or 4 reps in per minute. Okay, so in this sequence, it's now about putting it all together. And what I want to stress to you guys is that it's not necessarily about finding the perfect order or the exact order that we necessarily just went through it. That was just a logical progression that usually makes sense to most students that I teach and make sense to myself about how to see these order of operations go. But honestly, you could practice them in any order. Focusing more on a few things is better than trying to touch on like every move out there in jiu-jitsu in that amount of time. And I think you'll be kind of surprised when we put it all together, what kind of a heart rate you tend to get and just the workout benefits, right? The exercise benefits from it. All right, you ready? Remember, keep moving for all 3 minutes, but try to focus on the moves that we just did, okay? In 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so we're jumping up. We're moving into the arm lock. Maybe I get fancy. We move right into the triangle right off the bat. Oh man, we get this here. Now we go through, boom, we arm lock. Now we sit up. We're going on top, right? What I'm already thinking is I'm gonna move into the belly down version. Okay, the shin across the face, bam. Okay, the leg goes over. Now I'm here, I'm into the reverse Chasen position. Right, this time we go to step over. Now from this spot, I'm just gonna go into my regular arm lock. Okay, here, seated. Now this time I think I'm gonna try my other leg, right? That's a good way to do variation, is just to try your other leg from here. Into this side. Now I'm gonna try the triangle with this other leg, right? Coming over the top, bridging up, boom, and finishing. Here, and finishing, right? Now we're sitting up, kicking the feet south, always coming back up into that mount position. Right, we're gonna go belly down here. I'm coming across, finish, step over, right? Elbow into the hip, reverse Katami, right? We're into this spot. Now we're gonna high step, right? You should be about halfway, should be about a minute and a half left. Here. Now this time we're gonna go through, grab, plant the hand to the ground, shin across the face, boom, stepping over. Elbow to the mat, right, Katami. Step over into this spot. I mean, this time I put my hands on them. Boom, jumping up. Here, bam. Sitting down. Lifting up. Bam, bam, finishing. Here, triangle. South. All right, you got about 50 seconds left roughly, I think. So we keep going. Wow. Bang, into this spot. Here we go, shin to shin. Here. Swell. Stepping over. Right, about 10 more seconds left. Try to get you one more. This is one of your speed rounds. Go. I'm going for the triangle. Boom. Here. Lay down. Oh. So what I tend to notice with students is like, they're like, wow, I did a lot of stuff in 3 minutes and my heart rate's kind of high. Like my heart rate, it's a little bit higher. I'm still able to talk to you guys, but it's definitely making me break a little bit of a sweat. So if you're able to do this, again, you add a little bit of intensity, right? You're actually getting kind of a workout in. You're facilitating your body that way. And then you can start to add more moves, right? And by no means am I saying that these are the only mount moves you can do on this dummy, right? I was just giving you an example of how so many moves connect and flow together. And really we focused on, honestly, 2 moves. We focused on going to the S mount or that technical modified mount position. And we focused on the arm lock. We threw in the kind of the triangle there, Katami, the high step, a little bit, but that wasn't really the main focus. Those were just bridging the gap between that position again. And that's really a core concept with jiu-jitsu, is just figuring out what those things are, right? So your own flow, your own sequence will look different. This is just a good video to help you kind of practice some moves, explore, and see what you like. If you're gonna invest in one of these guys, do it, right? It's a very, very big help. I'm planning on doing more of these, so if you guys like this stuff, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what other positions would you like. Like I said, today was mount, We could do guard, we could do side. I mean, there's so many different positions we can do. So, but flow chains were kind of the most requested. So there you guys go. There's your mount flow chain. Good luck, and I'll see you guys in the next one.